Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Sterling. Great to get together with you here once a week, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. Big warm welcome. This show is being recorded for Sunday, October 24th. And as always, these shows are for entertainment purposes only. So all information that I share with you comes through my guides, angels, counsel, extended team, and famous people from history. So thanks for taking the time to join us on this Sunday. As always, if these shows are helpful, just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. All those things help the algorithms on YouTube, and really they make the show available for more people on YouTube. So thanks for your help in that area. Today, what I thought we'd do is go through a countdown, a top 45 question countdown. This came from several hundred questions that were submitted this week, and we often get asked how to submit questions for these shows. The best way to do it is to go to our community board, and then once a week, normally on Monday or Tuesday, we'll post a request for questions for the following Sunday show, and then that's where we actually garner all the questions from these shows. So let's get started on today's batch of questions. And I want to start off with kind of a bonus topic, if it were a bonus question. Many people had approached me this week regarding General Colin Powell, and if he had any messages for us. So he did, as a matter of fact. And one of the things I wanted to get across here is that he was around me this entire week and around us right now. Really a kind soul. I mean, General Colin Powell, loved people, but he really wanted to make it clear to everyone that during his lifetime, he really tried to be a uniter, not a divider. So he really tried to see the best in people and bring together not only both sides of the aisle politically, but a lot of leaders worldwide and a lot of different people from various races and lifestyles. So he really tried to be a uniter when he was here. He also did try to see the best in people. And it was also important for him to mention to me that it's important for all of us to live our best life and to really do what we're here for. And, this is a school and a learning path. And if mistakes are made, it's important to own up to those mistakes. I mean, that's all part of being humble as a human being and understanding your life purpose. So you want to make it clear that, he really did try to live his life path and then own mistakes when they happen. And then he also mentioned that he is quite concerned with the current political environment and just want to make sure that he gets the message across that everyone really needs to do their part to uphold goodwill, democracy, fairness, and against a lot of the things that are going on right now in the political environment. So wonderful person. I really enjoyed talking with him, and we'll all miss him, but he's still all around us, and he's trying to help as many people as he can from the other side. So thank you, General Colin Powell. Thank you. So let's move on now to the top 45 countdown of questions. Number 45 in the countdown. What do you see for the future of Taiwan? Will the island state remain free and independent? Yes, it will remain free and independent. But what I do have to tell you is that we're going to see a number of what I'm going to call military skirmishes going on between various world powers, that being China and the US and even some other nations in there. It looks like Europe could be involved. But we're going to see some military skirmishes going on over the next 12-month period, and it'll be some saber rattling. But in the end, Taiwan will remain free. So that's good news. Number 44 in the countdown. What was the FBI looking for when they raided the home of the Russian oligarch? It was Oleg Deripaska in DC and New York. And then will Deripaska be charged with anything? What I see very clearly there is the FBI was working off of financial information that they got through the Pandora Papers. And you remember on a number of shows ago, and maybe for several months now, I've been talking about the money trail and all the cash flows worldwide with the dark money will be revealed. Certainly the Pandora Papers are part of that. So that's what spurred on the raid on this Russian oligarch. And yes, he will be charged. There's going to be very direct ties to money laundering through information obtained through that raid. Yes. Number 43 in the top 45 countdown. Josh Shapiro, the Pennsylvania Attorney General, is suing DeJoy, this time along with 20 other state attorney generals. They want to require his 10-year post office revamping to come under regulation by an oversight committee. Will there be any significant outcome that will protect the Postal Service? I do see Biden pushing forward new federal regulations regarding the post office and the way that board of governors handles the post office. So it looks like new federal regulations coming in within the first part of next year. That was also the time frame that my team was telling me that DeJoy would be out in the beginning of next year. So more like the first quarter, it's like January, February. But it looks like new federal regulations are coming in based on Biden. Yeah. So hopefully that answers the question. Number 42. Will we discover the key to helping overweight people lose weight, or will there be a cure for obesity in the near future? Well, they're telling me in about 5 years here, we're going to see a really significant breakthrough in new medication, both pharmaceutical and natural, that help the body manage blood sugar much better. So that's going to contribute to weight loss and better weight management. So the answer is yes. It looks like it's over the next 5-year period here. Number 41. Will the American government's system of governance return to the fundamental philosophy of what the Constitution stands for? Yes, but this is going to come in some waves. So again, there's going to be some more federal guidelines that are going to help with this, some new federal laws that will come into play around voter protection, voter rights, and as well as gun laws. So it's interesting, there's going to be some more federal laws. They're going to help people, say, abide by constitutional laws a little bit better. So nothing like a little bit of help, with some more federal regulation. I do see this happening within the Biden term here. So it looks like the Voting Rights Act, the John Lewis law that was put forward, I know that that's been having some trouble and actually was not passed. My team is telling me that sometime into the middle of next year, we're going to see that For the People Act actually eventually pass. So hopefully that helps. Looks like more federal guidelines coming into place. 40. Will 45 win or lose his lawsuit against January 6th Commission? Well, he's going to lose, and I assume this person's asking about the request or for the records, for all the communication records from the White House during 45's administration. So he'll lose that lawsuit, and the records will be released to the January 6th Commission. It's all the communication records, meeting records, phone records, be released. Number 39, our top 45 countdown. Hi, Sterling. In one of the Star Trek series, there's a character who can sense emotions, so she stands by the captain and gives him information about adversaries that he can use in his decisions and dealings with them. If you could stand by President Biden and have his ear, what would your guides tell him to say to Senator Manchin and Sinema? What I'm being told is to take time to understand how the financial leverage, and even some of the dark money, but how the financial leverage is being used with both these individuals to influence their decision. So understanding, who is whose pocket they're in, so to speak, and then understanding how to then get to yes, as they say, get to a yes decision based on who is trying to leverage them. Number 38. A lot of UFO activity over Southern California this week. Who is it and what are they doing? I'm being told this is all part of normal UFO activity, and it's not always observed, but a lot of this has to do with observation of the planet and ensuring that certain dangerous areas around the planet, earthquakes, volcanoes, that kind of nature, that are all being monitored. So whoever asked this question felt that there was excessive UFO activity. They're telling me it's more normal activity, but not always observed. Okay. Number 37, our top 45 countdown. Hi, Sterling. Will the Democrats keep their majorities in the House and Senate at the midterms, and will Biden win a second term? I'm being told yes, yes, and yes. This question does come up quite often, but I'm so yes to all of that. Keep the House, keep the Senate. Biden wins a second term, but I'm also being told that Democrats and everybody trying to keep the country on the right track will have to come out in droves. So everybody's really going to have to do their fair share, and there will still be massive attempts at cheating. So in the end, the answer is yes, yes, and yes to the questions asked by this person. Number 36. Can you please tell me if our dogs think it's the last time they're going to see them every time we leave the house? Are dogs okay with us leashing them to walk? Do they feel oppressed to be confined in the house? Well, no. So dogs read our spiritual energy very, very well. They know what we're thinking, even telepathically. So they understand that we're coming back. They miss us, so it's a heartfelt love, and they want nothing but the best for us. But they want us back as soon as possible. So I think no. So dogs don't think it's the last time they're going to see you, but they miss you, and they read your intention and your by telepathy, your thoughts, and they know you're coming back. Number 35, top 45 countdown. How much of what we learn in a lifetime do we carry forward? So we carry all lessons forward in each successive lifetime. Now we can choose to learn different types of lessons, as we often do when we come down here, when we reincarnate. But we do carry forward all of the spiritual and life lessons that we learn in every lifetime, and they aid in our elevation as we kind of rise through various levels of understanding on the other side through incarnations. So we carry all the information forward. 34. Will they make certain requirements for someone to be able to be president? Psychological test, for example. I'm being told we already have some of these tests now. They're used occasionally, but over about the next 4 to 5 year period here, we'll see more artificial intelligence used to collectively put together a much larger picture of candidates. So everything that was said and dealt with, we'll use artificial intelligence to put together a very complete picture of candidates, and that will aid with some of the decision making as to which candidates are appropriate. Yes. 33. When a person dies who's had a difficult life with mental illness, addiction, homelessness, do they immediately join in the light with all souls, or do they take longer to review or heal before they can come and interact with the living? Well, first off, regardless of life experience, everybody immediately crosses over into the light, into the large space of love, a very loving environment. You're met by your birth angels, guides, family members. So you do cross over immediately. There's nothing that drags you down. I think that's the intention of this question, was that if there's certain mental illness or addiction or homelessness, does that cause a slower transition? It doesn't. Everybody does go through a life review, and the life review is always meant to help you. But everybody does move very easily into the next dimension, into a very large space of love. Number 32, do aliens have a sense of humor? Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the ones that I deal with are very curious and playful, and they have a lot of the same characteristics that humans have. So they do enjoy playing tricks and games with each other, and they do have a sense of humor. Absolutely. 31. Let's see. Somebody said, if myself and a loved one are going through differences and do not have a chance to reconcile before one passes, are the feelings carried over? Well, we don't, individuals that pass over, we don't carry over the anger and the fear when we cross over. However, those that are left behind, there's still usually remaining life lessons that we're going through. So that's part of our lesson in order to understand how to still communicate with those that have passed over and release any of the fear or anger or sorrow. It's all part of the human process. But our loved ones that pass over, they don't carry that sorrow or anger with them. They see what we're doing. They observe us. They want nothing but the best for us. They love us. So hopefully that helps. Number 30, the top 45 countdown. Is the GOP meeting in Hungary a way to allow 45 out of the country without notice that will go elsewhere and not return to the USA? Well, yes, I see that the meeting in Hungary, along with a lot of other, let's say, dictators worldwide, are meant to grease the skids for 45 and some of the followers. So they're looking at ways to create options. At which time, when 45 believes that he'll have no other options, and he's looking at some sort of some sort of prison time, and at which time I think there's going to be an escape plan. So. Yes, the meetings of Hungary, all part of meeting with world dictators to try to leverage, put together some sort of a network of options. Number 29, how was Nostradamus able to tell the future so accurately? Did he time travel? Well, he communicated very clearly with a large group of guides and angels, as well as when we do astral travel. And Nostradamus did some astral travel as well, where you go out of body and come back. But you also have access to the Akashic records, and the Akashic records contain a full compendium of everything past, present, and future. So a lot of those were information sources that he used when he developed the hundreds of quatrains. Now, these quatrains were written like poems in a way that was somewhat carefully laid out so that at the time, Nostradamus would not get in direct trouble for some of the forecasts. But that's how all the information was put together through direct connections with his angels and guides. 28. My question is about the rising ocean levels on low-lying countries, like a few of the Pacific Island nations. Will any of the people have to leave their home for good, and what will happen to them? So what I'm being told is over the next decade, we'll see ocean levels rise by several feet, without a doubt. And this will affect some of the low-lying island nations. The good news is they're going to have advance notice. So this is not these rise in ocean levels by several feet. While it's very dramatic and catastrophic in some areas, just in terms of the land and housing, people will have some advance notice. So they will have to move, but they'll have advance notice. Number 27, will Congress pass legislation, or will tech companies come up with a way to stop the influx of scammer calls that are besieging Americans on a daily basis? Yes, being told that just within a few short years here, there's going to be an extra digital code that's going to be part of, let's say, all cell phones, mobile phones, but a digital code. And so that spammers won't have that digital code, and so that will disable the call, let's say, to your phone. So this digital code will be under our control, and then will be given up we'll be able to determine which parties, which groups of companies can have this digital code. And so that's going to be one more step level of control. And with spammers not having that digital code, it'll stop the calls. Number 26. When we choose our cast of actors in our own earthly play to carry out certain themes to help us accomplish something specific, what if a person we ask doesn't live up to their end of the bargain, or decides to not do what they agreed to before they came down here? If so, are we bound to redo more lifetimes with that soul, even if it wasn't a positive outcome? So a bit of a complex answer here, but we all come down to experience a life path and life lessons, as do the people we're interacting with. Free will controls the scale or acceleration through your life path, as well as, let's say, the acceleration through your life path, where you speed through it or it takes longer, and also the scale of achievement. Now, scale being the degree to which you achieve your life path. So if other individuals that are affecting your life path change the scale of your life path, that can, in some respects, yes, change the amount of life lessons you'll learn, but will not force you to repeat it, let's say, in the next reincarnation. You always elevate, you always move forward, but there are certain factors that other individuals can play in your life path that affect the acceleration through your life path and the scale of achievement, but it's never all for naught. So hopefully that's helpful. Number 25. Do your guides see a natural cure or other safe methods, not pharmaceutical, for the millions of people with osteoporosis on the horizon? I do. And so this is going to be over the next 5 to 10 year period here, but this is all going to be an outgrowth of CRISPR technology. And that is essentially gene editing technology that's now really moving very quickly through the medical community. There are companies being set up, lots of labs. So gene editing technology, CRISPR technology, will be very helpful in this area over the next 5 to 10 years. Number 24. There are photos around of people using cell phones and old photos, or people dressed in modern clothing and older photographs. They claim that these are proof of time travelers. Is there any truth to these photos, or is it just Photoshop? Primarily, most of this is Photoshop. So it's a manipulation of the photograph. However, individuals that pass over, we pass over, time is nonlinear on the other side. And so you can move through past, present, and future on the other side. You can certainly affect things in this world, but more from a spiritual standpoint, not necessarily causing a full apparition of you holding a cell phone, back in the year 1910. So a lot of this, predominantly, they're just telling me it's all Photoshop, manipulation of photographs. 23. What is the average amount of time most souls choose to stay in heaven before returning to Earth or another planet for another life experience? Again, it's been my experience, and it's being validated here again, that most souls take several decades before they come back. So let me explain here a little bit. I see predominantly a lot of souls returning no faster than, say, 40 or 50 years. Many times could be 90 or 100 years before they come back, with one very strong exception. Souls that were transitioned here in major catastrophes like the Holocaust or 9/11 or even like the Titanic, a lot of times they will come back very, very quickly because for whatever reason, the way the universe laid it out, they have a mission to accomplish and they'll come back very quickly. So example, in terms of Holocaust victims, I've seen individuals within a year or two coming right back. So most of the time, many decades before people come back, but major disasters, I've seen them come back much faster. Number 22 in our countdown, 45 countdown, the Bible speaks of the last days in Revelation of weather changes all over the world, hunger, pestilence, children rising up against their parents. Even speaks of us being ruled by the yellow race. What do you interpret this to mean? My angels and guides are reminding me that a lot of that was written here in this subject was written by humankind, by mankind. This was made up by humans. So this is a bit of a fear tactic to place fear in people so that people understand how to respect the earth. So this has to do a bit of, creating a level of fear so that we don't forget to take care of the earth and take care of those surround us. And notwithstanding, I think the yellow race might have referred to other world powers like China. So these are all things we need to be careful of, but it's certainly not the end of time. So I want to be clear, this is a bit of a fear tactic to place more, make us more conscientious about Earth. Number 21, will we turn away more and more from eating animal meat and more towards loving and helping animals? Yes, absolutely. This is already being done right now. There are many plant substitutes coming into being, and we're going to see more and more of that because it's actually going to be a healthier alternative for people as well. Yes. Number 20, our top 45 countdown. You have said that the movie What Dreams May Come is a fairly accurate representation of heaven. This made me very happy and excited when I recently watched it. But I was wondering about the depiction of hell. What do you make of it? Is hell just being removed from the ones we love? So there is no hell, but hell is the creation in our own minds or our own fears. So we can create something that looks like hell on the other side, but as soon as we step into the one force and love, we can completely dispel that type of a vision. So this is something that people will create their own fantasy, their own fear. And as soon as you step into love, it's gone. It's meaningless. Number 19. Will Joe Manchin or Christian Sinema leave the Democratic Party, thus depriving the Democrats of the majority before the 2022 midterm elections? I don't see them leaving the Democratic Party prior to the 2022 midterm elections, but I do see them being replaced. So I think the question was I do not see them leaving or shifting parties before the midterm elections, but they will be replaced when elections occur eventually. 19. I'm a very emotional person. I'm also an empath, and I'm exhausted from feeling everyone's anger. I'm struggling to keep myself from being angry all the time because of it. How can I protect myself from being overwhelmed by others' emotional states? So first off, congratulations, you're an empath. It's a wonderful skill to have. That means you're much more empathetic than the average person. But when you're an empath, you take in everybody's emotions like a sponge. So it's always, first off, a good idea to say a quick protective prayer. You want to stand in supreme protective white light, or whatever works for you. And the second thing is, before you get around any individuals that might be angry or fearful or have energies you don't want to take in, make sure you send those individuals love and light. So a little bit of practice here in terms of developing some new techniques to protect yourself, but not a big problem. I'm sure these will help. Number 17. Do our guides and angels diagnose us with spiritual conditions or imbalances, much like doctors on this side diagnose us with physical diseases, according to their knowledge and training? If so, do they call in specialists to help us with anything that's necessary? So, all your angels and guides know what's happening with you on a daily basis. I mean, they're with you, and they don't need to call in specialists, but they do put what I call guardrails around you, or helpful messages when they feel you might be getting off track or need some help. So they don't call in specialists, and they know what's going on around you, and don't necessarily diagnose you with a problem. They understand what your life path is, and they try to keep in your life path for those lessons that are important. Number 16, our top 45 countdown. Sterling, I know that each person is born with two angels, a guardian angel and ministering angel. What do our angels do each day while they go through our busy days? Well, first off, everyone has at least one birth angel. Some have two or three. And you always have a mixture of working spiritual guides. So might have 3, 4, 5, 6 working spiritual guides. So just a little clarification here. Birth angels stay with you for life, and they keep you on the planet. And they certainly help you if it's not your exit point. They're the ones that save you. Might be a bad car accident. Your working spiritual guides help you manifest anything you're trying to create here on the planet. So I think the question was, what do they do during the day? Well, your birth angels make sure it's not your exit point. You don't exit. And your working spiritual guides help you manifest anything that's going on in your life. And it's always a good idea to learn how to communicate with them real time. And I've done some shows on the past, and we can cover that on future shows. Number 15. How do you know the difference between intuition and manifestation? I correctly predicted that someone would get a ticket. Was that my intuition, or did my focus on the event make it come to fruition? Well, intuition is more messaging from the other side. Manifestation, you have to have a complete intent in order to manifest that outcome. So if you didn't have complete intent, for example, on the ticket, then that was advanced information that was being provided to you for some helpful reason. But manifestation always has a level of intention behind it and focus. And I always say, when you work with your guides, they're the 3 C's. You want to be clear, concise, consistent with your guides. So intuition is more about messaging, and manifestation is more about true intention for an outcome. Number 14. Hello, Sterling. Can they tell if China will have financial problems due to the real estate crisis? Will it affect other parts of their economy? And if so, will it cause global problems? Well, yes, I mean, China is going through some significant real estate problems, and it's a bit of a cycle, a bit of a seesaw for them right now. It will cause, I mean, real estate's a very important part of their economy, a big chunk of their economy, and it will cause problems, and it will cause problems in other areas of the world. But they're going to navigate through it, but it's going to be many, many months to a year, 2 years here of just a lot of different cycles and real estate valuations, selling off assets wherever they can. So it will cause some destabilization, but they're going to get through it as they sell assets and other types of loans and financial reinforcements come in around China. Number 13, are mermaids real? Did some humans evolve from them? No, mermaids are a myth. However, there are a number of species of ETs and aliens that do primarily reside underwater, and they could have been mistaken for mermaids. So mermaids, as we know it, are myths, but there are aliens that they're just telling me could have been mistaken for these types of underwater creatures. 12 in our top 45 countdown. Fascism seems to be growing in Italy. Will it become a problem? Well, they're telling me fascism, never really left Italy, and I think we see some of that sometimes in various world nations or certain elements of the social fabric of that country. So fascism never really left. It looks like it got heightened, some heightened awareness here because of the COVID pandemic and kind of a more unification of society. And I think what they were calling what was the Green Pass. They're proposing a Green Pass around the pandemic. So it's going to be a bit of a problem for Italy, but it never really went away. It's been around for a long time and seeing a bit of a resurgence, but looks like it will start to die off in a number of years. So hopefully that's helpful. Number 11, will there be less harmful flea tick prevention medication that works for dogs and cats? Yes, I'm being told there'll be a mixture of grains, like a whole earth kind of a medication that's developed here. So it's very it's non-pharmaceutical, but it has to do with a mixture of different types of grains and seeds they're going to come up with, which will be a much more natural way of treating this condition for pets and animals. So that's what they're telling me. I get some sort of a connection with a lot of unique mixtures of grains that will be developed. Mm-hmm. Number 10, our top 45 countdown. Sterling, you mentioned that free will can be a part of whether or not you wish to leave your body when facing a life-threatening illness. Does this mean that your soul decides when to die or whether to stay and fight to be well? Does that mean we have many exit points in our life, or is there just one? I was confused about this. I thought our first time to die was predetermined, unchangeable, interesting topic. So first off, kind of a detailed question here, so a detailed answer. But we essentially have one major exit point that we agree to before we come down here. Now, around that exit point, there's a bit of free will I've seen in many cases of almost like plus or minus 2 years, for example, where someone with a very long-term, terminal disease can choose to try to leave early, as much as 2 years early, or even stay 2 years past that exit point because they feel it's important for family members. So there's a bit of free will around that. However, notwithstanding, if you get close to exit points at other times in your life, let's say a major catastrophic accident, it could be a plane crash, or it could be a car accident. If it's not your time, your birth angels will help save you. And even if you go so far as to have a near-death experience, they'll turn you around and send you back. Not only your birth angels will send you back, but family members will send you back, say, look, we can't, this is not your time, but we'll see you when it's your time. So hopefully that helps. There's a bit of free will around the actual exit point, but if it's not your actual exit point, you'll be turned around if you go so far as a near-death experience. Number 9, our top 45 countdown. In sci-fi movies, how close do those spaceships resemble ones that actually exist out there in our galaxies? Section they're referencing like Star Wars and Star Trek. Well, Well, I'm being told that they represent very closely. And the reason they do is that a lot of the people involved in the making of these films, have channeled the other side. So they're angels and guides and individuals, famous people from history and beyond have given them these creative ideas. And so they're meant to prepare us, help us, show us kind of what the future will look like in terms of spaceships. So yes, they look very similar, and there's a lot of reality in what's being created on screen. Number 8, will Jeff Sessions get away with allowing children to be separated from their parents at the border? Won't get away with it. There's going to be federal charges just a few years down the road here. Unfortunately, there's going to be so much going on with the federal government. It's going to be a few years here. It might be as much as 2 years, but there will be federal charges. And part of his defense, although it won't be successful, is that he was following orders from 45 on the zero tolerance policy. So there'll be charges, but like all this litigation, there's lots of twists and turns. Number 7, our countdown. Do they see home healthcare workers getting increases in their pay? So do we see home healthcare workers getting increase in their pay? Yes, and this is all part of what's going to eventually come through in the bills going through Congress right now. Social programs bill. I know there's a lot of negotiation going on right now, and my guides always said that it wouldn't be the full 3.5 trillion. My guides at one time indicated it would be somewhere in the 2 range, whether it's 2.4, 2.5. It's going, back and forth here, but it looks like increases for home health care will end up as part of the bill. Number 6, if linear time does not exist in higher dimensions, is it possible for our souls to view all our incarnations simultaneously? And if so, can our spiritual development in this incarnation impact all other incarnations? Well, first off, both linear and nonlinear time can exist on the other side. Linear time is what exists here on Earth. Whatever you do here does track back to the Akashic records, everything in the past, present, future. So yes, as you make changes here incrementally, they do affect those records, even though a lot of it has been predestined. So what you do here does affect everything. It's almost like a very large patch quilt. And so as you kind of move any one square, it can have a subtle effect on all the other squares, but it's still a patch quilt, if that makes sense, a single patch quilt. Number 5, do you see any significant earthquakes for the Central Valley in the next year? And I assume this person's talking about the Central Valley of California. Yes, I do see a lot of scattered earthquakes in level 4, 5, and even 6. This is going to be ongoing. It's a worldwide phenomenon right now, a lot of earthquakes and a lot of movement around seismic plates. But yes, around the Central Valley, I do see a number of earthquakes over the next 12 months, and even then some beyond that. Number 4, do our guardian angels stay with us for a while and then another guardian angel steps in? Kind of reminiscent of a question we talked about earlier on the show. Your birth angels stay with you for life. That's their job. But then your spiritual working guides will trade out as you go through life, depending on what you need. So they have different specializations. One might be better in healing or health or some other financial or business aspect. You can have spiritual guides that will be very good in various areas. So your working spiritual guides will trade out. Birth angels do not. Number 3, why is it that we have to work so hard and practice to become intuitive? Why doesn't it come naturally? So it does come naturally, but it does take practice, and not everybody is born, let's say, to be an aficionado to play Mozart at 5 years old. We all have the ability, for example, to play music. Some are born with more ability than others, but it takes practice, and everybody has the ability, and there's nothing preventing it. So it's not that hard. Everybody's born a complete psychic medium and the ability to have intuition or be intuitive. And I will tell you this, that even those that claim that they're not intuitive, when there's major life events going on, your guides and angels will find a way to communicate with you. It might be a pit in your stomach to not go into a store that ends up getting robbed 10 minutes later. But your guides, angels will work with you at a very base level of intuition. And the more you work with it, the easier it gets. But we're all born with it. It's not that hard. Number 2 in our top 45 countdown. Do you see anything coming up for us this week? I do see more releases and information around the Pandora, those all the millions of documents from the Pandora papers. I see great news coming up regarding the vaccine boosters, and more approvals coming for children. I do see more negotiation around the congressional bills going on, more good progress around the congressional bills. And I do see more information coming out here regarding legal process and procedure around the subpoenas here with the January 6th commission. So you'll see a lot of that in the press. By the way, this is a quick footnote. This wasn't asked about on this particular show, but my heart goes out to all those affected by the accidental shooting on the set of Rust with Alec Baldwin. My heart goes out to the director of photography and to the director and to all the families that were affected. It was a very unfortunate accident, but you'll see more of that in the press this week. And my heart and a lot of love goes out to all those affected. And the last item on our top 45 countdown, number 1, do you have anything your guides want to share with us? Yes, replace all the anger and fear that you feel for all things going on with love. Replace it with love and spread that love around you. That's going to allow you to exist coming from a place of strength and knowledge and understanding, and allow you to navigate everything we're going through here in this lifetime much better. So replace all the anger and fear consciously with love for all those things around you. And so hopefully that's helpful. That concludes our show today for Sunday, October 24th. For anybody that wants to reach me for a session, it's very easy. sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book Online tab. And just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Always helps the algorithms, the YouTube algorithms for this channel. And as always, I'm wishing you a lot of goodwill, a lot of love to you and your families. Until we get together next week, all the best, and have a great week, and I'll see you soon.